Hi, my name is Jerry, and this is a video response to New Science Spirit on your videos about God, religion, and atheism. First of all, just let me say, I also thought your videos were awesome. I thought your videos were awesome because you were willing to tell your story before the whole world. And secondly, because you were genuine and honest. Personally, I find that extremely refreshing and appealing, especially in this day and age, when you find a lot of people who simply can't or won't be real. Again, I appreciate your willingness to share your story, and I appreciate you for it. Also, after viewing your videos, it became very clear to me that the Worldwide Church of God is a cult. Much like Mormonism and Jehovah's Witness, all these cults have one thing in common, and that is the pain and the suffering and the destruction they leave behind in the lives of those who are members of their cult. As I was preparing and deciding what I was going to say in response to your video, I came to the conclusion that I would do much like you did, that I would share my story. As we both know, experience is subjective, but within the context of our subjective experience, you have the positive and the negative. So if you'd allow me, I'd like to share my story beginning with the negative and finish with the positive. Growing up in my home as a child, my father was very domineering, very religious, very rule-centered, very legalistic, even to the point if one of my brothers or sisters or I did something wrong, that we had to swear on the Bible in order for him to believe what we were telling him was the truth. But in reality, most of the time we were lying anyway, because we did not want to suffer the wrath that we were going to receive. But as the years went along, the weight of how things were in our home began to weigh on me. And I got to the point where I realized I just couldn't go on anymore. And this was somewhere around the age of 10. So not having any different experience or new information to help me make the right decision or a different decision, I basically came to the conclusion that God hated me. That must be the reason why things were the way they were in our home. So once I came to that conclusion, I decided that I hated God in return. And I would curse him at the top of my lungs and beg him to give me the opportunity to pour out my anger on him. And I told him that I was going to live my life and prove to him how much I hated him. But subconsciously, I didn't realize that that belief would carry me in every situation and circumstance for the next 20 years. So in other words, every relationship, every professional venture, every area of one person's life you can think of, I basically put myself in a position where I was going to confirm that belief. So after years of broken and failed relationships and failure of every kind, I was coming out of another broken relationship, and I, again, as I was when I was 10 years old, came to the point where I just couldn't go on anymore. So I cried out to this God that I believed all my life hated me, because I still had no other new information or no other different experience. But much to my amazement, the most amazing thing happened to me. And this is the positive part of my subjective experience. In a moment of honest brokenness and humility, I cried out to a God that I did not know, and a God that I believed hated me. If there was a God, this is what I believed. But much to my amazement, in my moment of sincere humility and brokenness, God revealed himself to me. The Spirit of God entered me and came into me and filled me. And instantly, as the Spirit was filling me, warmth was filling my entire body. And instantly, it's as if God spoke to me himself and said, I am your Father, and you are my Son. Needless to say, I was shocked. Right after that, I had a desire, and almost as if it was a hunger or thirst, to know God and to read the Bible, both of which I had never desired prior to that in my entire life. So in a single instant or moment in time, I was completely changed. And I had a peace and a joy that I had never, ever known before. And what I realized not long after that was the perspective that I had come to believe about God was not only inaccurate, but it was false. You see, the reality is I couldn't deny what had happened to me. I was changed in a single moment. How else could you explain the peace, the joy? It seemed to answer all the questions that I had all my life. But the answer came from the true God, not the false God that I had come to believe in. I'm going to have to stop here. I'll continue this in the second part of this video in part 2.